Hard to believe, but the war of words between Blake Lively and her co-star Justin Baldoni is escalating today. Lawyers for both sides appeared in court today in Manhattan for a pre-trial conference. Blake Lively is suing Justin Baldoni, accusing him of sexual harassment on the set of their hit movie, It Ends With Us.
Blake Lively is caught in a scandal that no one saw coming. Explosive courtroom footage has just leaked, and the internet is in complete shock. This isn't just another Hollywood feud. Justin Baldoni is walking away with a massive win, and Blake, she's left scrambling.
Players in one of the ugliest Hollywood disputes in recent memory faced off in a New York City courtroom today with the first hearing in the It Ends With Us duel between stars Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni.
Despite her best efforts, the few victories Blake Lively has managed to secure aren't game changers. They're barely making a dent, let alone shifting the tide in her favor. But the real question remains. Does this minor win give her any real leverage against Justin Baldoni? Could this be the moment where she turns the tables and regains control? Let's break it all down. There was speculation that Blake might have an upper hand against Baldoni, but that theory just collapsed.
28-year-old actress will take down Preserve on October 9th. Blake launched the site in July 2014, but tells Vogue she doesn't want to continue with something that her and her team are, quote, not proud of. She goes on to explain, quote, "We launched the site before it was ready, and it never caught up to its original mission. It's not making a difference in people's lives, whether superficially or in a meaningful."
The courts have now shut down yet another one of her aggressive legal maneuvers, and rather than making progress, she's facing yet another major setback. Her relentless attempts to back Baldoni into a corner through legal loopholes have completely backfired, leaving her in an even weaker position than before. Her legal team went all in, doubling down on accusations in an effort to pressure Baldoni, but the courts weren't having it. This latest ruling didn't just slow her momentum, it exposed serious cracks in her case, showing just how flimsy and unconvincing her claims really are.
We're going to move as quickly as we possibly can and prove our innocence in a world where sometimes people judge you before they give you a chance.
The fallout is immediate, and you can bet her PR team is scrambling to contain the damage. Blake's allegations of workplace misconduct and claims of an orchestrated smear campaign now appear weaker than ever. And with the court's decision throwing her case into question, public perception is shifting fast. Now the media, social platforms, and even some of her former Hollywood acquaintances are weighing in, and the reaction is far from sympathetic. She's quickly becoming the subject of ridicule rather than support, and it's clear that her strategy isn't working as planned.
He just launched a website containing 168 pages of documents and texts. He says that Lively actually rewrote this pivotal romantic scene shot on a rooftop. He claims she texted, "If you knew me longer, you'd have a sense of how flirty and yummy it will be. It's my love language, spicy and playfully bold, never with teeth."
But before we dive into where this leaves her, let's rewind to how this entire legal fiasco even began. Just weeks ago, the It Ends With Us controversy took an unexpected turn when Blake's legal team filed an aggressive motion demanding access to Justin Baldoni's private communications. And when we say everything, we mean everything. Text messages, emails, voicemails, internal PR discussions, and even confidential records from his team at Wayfarer Studios. Essentially, they wanted full access to his entire digital footprint. Justin's attorneys, Mike Gottlieb and Ezra Hudson, wasted no time pushing back. They quickly dismissed Blake's demands, calling them nothing more than a desperate attempt to uncover so-called secret tactics Baldoni allegedly used to tarnish her reputation and disrupt her personal life over the past year.
An article recently saying that Leighton and I were frenemies, and it's
frenemies. Is that the new term, frenemies?
Yeah, we're friends, but we're also enemies. And it's they see our characters on the show, and they want that to be true in a sense. I think they want everybody's characters in real life to emulate that. And it's really strange because they always want to pit women against each other. You don't hear about like Penn and Chase hating each other and being jealous and competitive. So it's very silly. But you know, we all do get along very well.
Blake's legal team has continued to argue that every negative headline, viral meme, and critical social media post about her was part of a deliberate, behind-the-scenes effort by Baldoni. But with this latest ruling, the credibility of that argument is crumbling. The courts have spoken, and for the first time, it seems like Blake's case is running out of steam. Even the viral TikToks criticizing her acting skills, the online backlash, and the countless memes, Blake's team is convinced that all of it is somehow part of an elaborate smear campaign orchestrated by Justin Baldoni himself. According to them, Baldoni isn't just a co-star or a director. He's supposedly the mastermind behind an entire wave of public scrutiny aimed at tarnishing Blake's reputation. But here's where things start falling apart. If this is truly a coordinated attack, where's the concrete proof?
Not the biggest failure of Blake Lively's career is not this moment. It's not even this moment. Not saying something because this movie got a 5 on Rotten Tomatoes out of 100. The biggest stumble in Blake's career was this. And I'm gonna need you to watch the first 10 seconds of the intro video. Just tell me, ballpark, what you think it's about, because you're not gonna guess it. Preserve was Blake Lively's attempt.
That's exactly what the court wanted to know when Blake's legal team presented their case. But when the time came to lay down real evidence, they had nothing to show for it. Instead of delivering hard facts, Blake's attorneys essentially admitted, well, we don't have solid proof yet, but we're pretty sure it's buried somewhere in Justin's phone. And just like that, the entire case took a turn for the worse. Blake is now left grasping for evidence she hopes will appear, while Baldoni's legal team remains completely unfazed, standing firm in their insistence that they have nothing to hide. The optics of this situation are not working in Blake's favor. Instead of strengthening her claims, this entire ordeal is making her case look weaker than ever. With each passing day, public perception is shifting, and many are now questioning whether she actually has a case or if she's simply swinging in the dark, hoping something sticks. In response to Blake's aggressive subpoena, Baldoni's lawyer, Andrew B. Friedman, spoke out in an exclusive interview with People magazine. He made it clear that this wasn't just a standard legal request. This was an over-the-top demand that went far beyond what was reasonable. Friedman revealed that Blake's legal team was asking for complete access to every single call, text, data log, and even real-time GPS tracking from Baldoni's phone spanning over 2.5 years. And here's the kicker. It didn't even matter who sent the messages or what they were about. They wanted everything. Friedman wasted no time in shutting down the request, calling it a blatant fishing expedition, a desperate attempt to dig up anything, no matter how small, that could be twisted into supporting Blake's allegations. He stood his ground, confidently stating that there was nothing incriminating to find and that Blake's claims were, in his words, provably false. But the fallout didn't stop there. Blake's extreme legal maneuver ended up triggering a major domino effect, one that might have just backfired in ways she never saw coming. The moment it became clear that Blake Lively was scrambling to control the narrative, without having the necessary receipts to back up her claims, everything took a sharp turn. The situation escalated quickly, exposing the weaknesses in her legal argument. To be fair, Blake seemed convinced that she had a strong case. That is, until Justin Baldoni countered with an entire website packed with evidence proving otherwise. Fast forward to the judge's official decision, and suddenly, headlines were everywhere declaring, U.S. court denies Blake Lively's request for Justin Baldoni's phone records. So, what exactly did the judge say? Here's the breakdown. A U.S. court firmly rejected Blake Lively's extensive request to gain access to Justin Baldoni's private phone data. The ruling was clear and definitive. Blake's demands were deemed overly invasive and a blatant violation of Baldoni's privacy. According to The Hollywood Reporter, the court explicitly stated that her request crossed a significant legal boundary, branding it as an excessive invasion of Baldoni's privacy. The ruling swiftly dismissed the majority of her demands, making it clear that the court was not going to allow an open-ended search into Baldoni's personal and professional communications. But it didn't stop there. The court further elaborated on its reasoning, stating that Blake Lively's legal team was aggressively pushing for access because they believed Baldoni's phone held evidence of a so-called massive conspiracy involving him and his associates. However, the judge wasn't convinced. Instead, the court saw the request as a speculative move rather than one based on solid facts. Variety reported that the ruling described Blake's demand for 2 full years of Baldoni's phone records as excessive and disproportionate. However, despite the overwhelming rejection of her request, the court did grant Blake's team a very limited access to certain records. This access, though, was minimal, allowing only a glimpse into basic contact logs, rather than the more personal and detailed communications she was seeking. And here's where things took another turn. While Blake's team managed to obtain some minor details, such as the identities of a few people Baldoni communicated with, the juiciest, most confidential information was completely denied. The court's decision made it clear Blake had dramatically overreached, and her attempt to pry into Baldoni's private affairs had officially hit a dead end. But then, almost immediately after the ruling was announced, Blake's representatives fired back. In a public statement, they accused Baldoni of acting out of fear, suggesting that he had rushed to his legal team in an attempt to block even the small amount of information that was approved for release. They claimed that Baldoni was panicking and doing everything in his power to prevent even a fraction of the records from being disclosed. Blake Lively's legal team is not backing down just yet. In response to the court's ruling, they have announced their intention to refine their strategy and take another shot at obtaining Justin Baldoni's phone records. But let's be honest, Blake was aiming for the entire case-breaking revelation, and instead, she walked away with mere fragments of information. Now she's forced to reassess her approach, rework her legal arguments, and figure out a new angle to target Baldoni. The court's decision made one thing clear: Blake's case isn't as solid as she initially claimed. In simpler terms, Lively's team appears to be shifting from a strategy based on concrete evidence to one focused on deflecting blame. Instead of presenting undeniable proof, they are now doubling down on accusations, insisting that Baldoni is hiding the very information that could prove their claims. But the reality is clear. The court effectively called them out for lacking substantial evidence, leaving them scrambling to rethink their next move. The ruling was celebrated by Baldoni's attorney, Brian Friedman, who made a point to highlight that the decision prevented an extreme and unnecessary invasion of his client's privacy. According to Variety, Friedman described Blake's legal approach as nothing more than a desperate attempt to uncover anything that could be used against Baldoni, even without a valid basis. The court's decision reinforced that her legal team had overreached and their fishing expedition had to be stopped. But just when it seemed like the situation couldn't get any more intense, the reaction to the ruling set off an entirely new firestorm. The moment the news broke, Baldoni's camp wasted no time in treating this minor victory as a significant legal milestone. Across social media, discussions erupted, and the backlash against Blake Lively's legal team started gaining momentum. Users online didn't hold back their criticism. One comment stated, "Nothing upsets a narcissist more than being accused of something they definitely did." Another took aim at her legal representation, questioning, "Are her lawyers even competent?" Feels like Blake has taken over her own legal team at this point. And perhaps the most telling remark read, "The judge must be exhausted from dealing with this nonsense." This isn't just idle internet gossip. The public is actively voicing frustration, and it's clear that many are losing patience with Lively's legal maneuvers. On the other side, Baldoni's supporters are celebrating the ruling as a major win, commending the judge for shutting down what they see as an over-the-top legal request. Speculation is growing about just how much longer the court will tolerate Blake Lively's legal maneuvers. And here's where it takes an unexpected turn. Fans are already theorizing about what could happen next. Some have even joked that the judge might be losing patience, with one comment reading, "I wonder if the judge is tired of Blake's drama yet." Another went as far as suggesting that Blake's famous friends might be next in line for scrutiny, adding, "Subpoena Taylor Swift and watch how quickly the tables turn." As amusing as these social media reactions may be, the reality is far more concerning for Blake. With this latest legal request being decisively shut down by the judge, her legal team is now facing a critical moment. It seems every move they've made so far has only backfired, and the outlook isn't getting any brighter. At this stage, the situation has reached a point where drama seems to follow Blake at every turn. What started as a legal dispute has spiraled into a full-blown public battle, and the desperation from her camp is becoming more obvious by the day. With the latest ruling confirming that Blake's team has yet to present solid evidence against Justin Baldoni, they appear to be grasping at anything they can in a last-ditch effort to regain control. Things have escalated to the point where Blake's legal team is now shifting focus, not just on Baldoni, but on us, the public and media figures who have been amplifying his side of the story. In a surprising turn, they've begun targeting online creators who have spoken about the case, alleging that these voices are part of a coordinated effort to damage Blake's reputation. Legal filings from Blake's team have now explicitly called out certain content creators by name, claiming that those repeating Baldoni's arguments are engaging in a deliberate smear campaign. One of the most shocking revelations? Blake's team specifically took aim at Perez Hilton, a well-known media personality who also happens to be represented by Brian Friedman, Baldoni's attorney. The internet is buzzing with theories, suggesting that this might be an attempt to shift the narrative, accusing Baldoni's supporters of being part of a strategic attack against Blake. But the drama doesn't stop there. The court filings also mention Candace Owens, alleging that her coverage of the case has fueled anti-Blake sentiments and painted her in an even harsher light. Bringing Owens into the mix only adds fuel to the fire, as it demonstrates just how far Blake's legal team is willing to go to silence opposing voices. With every new legal move, they appear to be losing more ground, making it increasingly difficult to control the public perception of the case. And if that wasn't enough, Blake's lawyers also doubled down on their attack against Perez Hilton, pointing to his ties to Baldoni's legal team as evidence of a deeper conspiracy against their client. The suggestion that these figures are not just independent commentators, but part of a calculated effort to dismantle Blake's career and credibility. With tensions reaching new heights, one question remains. Is Blake Lively's team truly uncovering a conspiracy? Or is this just another desperate attempt to shift blame after a series of courtroom losses? One thing is clear, this battle is far from over, and both sides are preparing for the next explosive chapter in this unfolding drama. Even Blake's most loyal supporters are starting to question what she's really afraid of. Could it be the hidden receipts that might finally expose the full truth? Receipts that could prove she's not as innocent as she's portrayed herself to be from the very beginning? At this point, it's becoming clear this isn't about fighting for justice. It's all about controlling the damage before it spirals even further out of her hands. But here's what Blake's legal team won't admit. This entire situation, she set it in motion herself. She was the one who took these accusations straight to the media, making sure the public knew every detail, violating the very privacy she's now desperate to protect. But now that the spotlight is no longer working in her favor, she suddenly wants everything hidden behind legal barriers. The irony couldn't be more obvious. Let's be real. Blake started this public battle against Justin Baldoni, dragging his name through the mud, making sure everyone was talking. But now that the tables have turned and the pressure is on, she's running to the courts, begging for privacy. The double standards are impossible to ignore. And if she thought people wouldn't notice, think again. The internet hasn't forgotten, and neither have content creators who continue to break down every single move in this case. Social media is on fire, and Blake is getting dragged harder than ever before. And here's where things take a wild turn. Just as Blake's reputation is unraveling, guess what just dropped? the official trailer for A Simple Favor 2, where Blake Lively plays, wait for it, the villain. Talk about timing. The comparisons between her real-life drama and her on-screen character are too perfect. The internet is running with it, saying this is life imitating art in the most bizarre way possible. So the real question is, has Blake actually stepped into her villain era, both on and off screen? Or is this just one big coincidence? At this point, Blake Lively is in deeper than she ever expected, and there's no easy way out. But now, I want to hear from you. Can she still salvage her reputation, or is this the beginning of the end for her public image? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and let's talk about it. And before you go, don't forget, hit that like button, subscribe, and share this video with your friends, because you know they're going to want the inside scoop on this drama. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.